Day 26. I was on that show, but I didn't sign the contract because it was just so crazy. Make sure you got lawyers and
we're gonna get Xavier's gonna
and your parents to like. You gotta have people that's really in your corner because these people that get you. Everybody ain't nice. Everybody ain't like this. You know what I mean? So everybody's not trying to teach you how to.
What was something that we should have looked out for? Like, what's something that was like crazy that you were like, okay, no, I can't get this.
It was just one word. When I seen universe, that turned me off from everything. When Diddy told me that he owned everything that I would be doing, like that had to do with that. As far as my songwriting before and after, like throughout the universe, and that was actually in the contract when it said throughout the universe. I said,
okay. So you see throughout the universe.
You see throughout the universe, right? But that was the one thing that turned me off from it. But then another show came. It also shows you how God works. Another opportunity came for me to do Making His Band, and it's pretty much like a work for hire type of job.
Isn't that still Diddy though?
It was still Diddy. But it's not the same process. It's a work for hire, so it's not like I'm trying to be signed to his label. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just doing a job for him. It's
some of your universe, just some of the not all.
Not even none of the universe because I'm not writing for him. I'm not doing that. I'm just singing for him. He pays me. I do a service, and he pays me, and that's it. So.
Awesome. Thank you. You want to talk about you?
Just for a quick second, and as far as American Idol goes, I was one from Chicago that particular season to make it all the way to LA, Los Angeles for the final round. The contract, basically, I mean, it's pretty extensive, and they basically will own you for a certain period of time, even after the show is aired and it's off. I think it was 5 for me, if I'm not mistaken.
With me, it wasn't no time limit.
And so you have to be real careful about that. And in a way, what it is they're protecting themselves to make sure that you haven't become famous or rich off of what they have done for you, if anything, while appearing on the show. So you just got to be careful and watch out and know if that's really something that you want to do. That if you don't make it to Hollywood or if you don't make it to the top 12, do you still want to sacrifice the rest of your career for a longevity of maybe 5 years? You know what I mean? So that's one thing to look out in the contract.
My mom, sorry about
Go for it.
No, my mom speaks about Jennifer Hudson all the time. About Jennifer Hudson, about she didn't win, but they still owned everything, afterwards, and she still made it happen. Anyway, so Xavier, so tell us, you've heard a little bit about, tell us some good stuff. Just like I don't even have a question, just hop in there and let us know.
I didn't mention this when my introduction. I used to work in Los Angeles for one of the largest reality production studios in Hollywood. So I was one of the people that you would come and sit down and say, I have a reality show idea.
Okay.
You sit down and do the pitches. You have to sign an option agreement. We say, hey, we own this idea. If you sign the agreement, or another way was, hey, we could create an idea that kind of looks like your idea, but we really didn't take your idea. So we did. And so the big part of how in the reality world is they use the fact that so many people want to become famous. Everybody wants to become famous. And people wanted to become famous for free. Before, it was about money. Now it's about fame. And so a lot of times when you talked about the part of that contract will say territory. Then it'll say the world or the universe in your case. And what will happen is that they want to be able to control. You have to look at yourself as a brand, and that brand is a product, and ultimately it goes back to property rights. So you're a property. And so they want to say we were the origin of the value being increased from that particular property. And that's when you sign a reality contract. They want to be able to hold you for exclusivity for as long as possible, for as far out as possible. So you want to make sure that you hire someone like myself to be able to look over those contracts. And a particular situation with a client, she was a comedian. They came to our comedy club, and they were going to do basically a reality show about this comedy club. They had every single comedian sign a contract right on the spot. A lot of times you may come into a situation, maybe it's an audition or maybe some sort of event. You may be asked to sign a contract on the spot. Never do that. You're going to put yourself in a terrible situation. You go back and have competent counsel to look that over. So that's the reality world, and it's a dirty game because everybody wants to be famous, and you have to make sure that you're not the expert. Someone else is who's trained, put themselves $100,000 in debt to be able to represent people like you.
That's crazy. So both of you guys have actually managed. You guys manage people?
We have artists too. I was going to add to that.
Great.
Our artist recently, Ileana, was on the Next, and she was one of the finalists for the show The Next. And it was a huge challenge because we had her as an artist under a production company, and the opportunity came through some relationships in the industry. And because we knew it could be a fast track for her, as opposed to the long process of year in development and all of that, we presented it to her in a way that was, we're not saying don't do it, and we're not saying do it. We have the information, so we have to give it to you. Okay. And ultimately, she decided to go on the show. Now, the contract, I mean, it was a 360 deal that had her for management, had her for as an agency in terms of talent agency. So she's on hold for the next like year and a half. Hers wasn't 5 years, for the next year and a half, and they basically have an option. And upon signing that deal, she's automatically in a record deal with Atlantic Records, and it's just a matter of whether or not they pick up the option. Okay. Now the challenge was, you know, she had independent attorneys from us do it, but they give you such a small window to review it. And then the second part was, it was a take it or leave it contract. Like, there was no space. They kind of claimed you could negotiate, but there was really no space to negotiate. She ultimately did not win. She was part of the final three. She ultimately did not win. But my belief is that they're going to pick up her option anyway, you know. So the upside is she's got a terrible deal with Atlantic. You know?
Right. Okay. So awesome. So anybody that want to, you know, join reality shows, that was just so much good stuff right in there. So I'm going to change just a little bit. Fox, you are an artist. You are a producer. We have songs together, writer. You also managed a band. So what was it like being a manager? Because we have a lot of moms. How many moms manage their child in here? You know, raise your hand. Okay, so you manage your child. Raise your hand. So what was it like being a manager as well as doing all the other things? What was it like on the managing side?
Well, I've never raised a child, but I would imagine it's close to doing the same thing, because, I mean, they trust in you with literally every facet of their daily routine. You have to make sure that you get them up on time, that they're fed before they go to their auditions, or, you know, and if you don't feed them, they'll be cranky all day and they'll whine about it. It's no different than having a 6-year-old, I'm sure. Yeah. But it's also a very rewarding thing, because when you see that you've nurtured something into a successful brand, and just laid the foundation for their career, you can take that and just be so proud of yourself. So managing is very, very frustrating at times, but it's really worth it when you're invested emotionally, financially into that project, and you're growing exponentially with that artist or with that band. And I've learned a lot from just trial and error, but also seeing what works for them and what didn't work for them can also work with the next clients that I take on. And managing is just something that is necessary at the right part. Like, you don't necessarily just need a manager right away. So that's one bit of advice. I don't know if I was supposed to give advice, but wait for the right person to come to your artist. Don't necessarily seek management, because you're basically telling them I'm desperate. Let them see what you've done, and then you have some more bargaining chips to work with. So the right manager will come find you rather than you go find them.
Awesome. So while I have you, Fox, and then we're gonna go. It's gonna piggyback to Xavier. So Fox and I wrote and recorded a song called House Party, right? And so a friend of mine sent me a Facebook message and was like, "Oh my God, did you see your song on MTV?" And I was like, I didn't know anything about that. Well, hold on, let me go, you know. So I went, got together, sent me the clip. I was like, oh my God, like, our song's on MTV. But we didn't know anything about that. We didn't tell MTV you can, you know, my song can be on MTV's Made. And the girl was just rehearsing, had an audition, had it together, you know, didn't get it all together. So what was it, tell us a little bit about the legalities with ASCAP, and, you know, tell us that. And then Xavier, I'm sure you've had some experiences with that. So tell us a little bit about, you know, I had to call you. I said, Fox, what should I do? Our song's on TV.
Yeah,
And we didn't.
It was a weird thing, like,
I was happy, but it was...
Yeah. The first song I've ever had on TV, I sent or worked hard to get it there, but that was just an instance where it was just weird. It was like one of the cheerleading audition episodes it made. The girl had like...
You didn't tell me? Why did you supposed to let me know? I didn't know.
The girl had the CD burned of House Party and brought it with her to the audition and choreographed the dancer, and I was like, whoa, this is nuts.
Yeah.
So anything can happen. But so I called my rep at ASCAP and I said, hey, MTV never cleared this with us, and what do we do? And he's like, well, make sure the song's registered. And I said, okay, the song's registered. And
tell us how to register. What register?
Okay. So again, ASCAP or BMI are things called performance rights organizations, and there's 3 of them. The other one is called CSAC, but it's much smaller and it's European based. So ASCAP, BMI, very comparable. They do the exact same thing. One's ran by songwriters and publishers. The other's ran by radio. So it's just kind of whichever one you feel more comfortable with. And the dues are slightly different on each, but I love ASCAP and they treat me really well, and they help me pay my bills. So you register all of your songs that you write, not the actual MP3s or the recordings, just the underlying words and music are what you would be making money off of through ASCAP and BMI. And what they do is they track anytime your song is played in a movie, a TV show, on the radio.
Is it a certain period of time it has to play, right?
It actually doesn't matter the duration. It increases the value of your payment, but it could be a 2-second clip of your song. And as long as it's been registered with ASCAP, you should be getting paid.
Okay.
Is there a monthly payment? How much is a general fee of the payment?
Oh, that you pay ASCAP or that they might pay you?
To register your songs.
Well, it's a one-time membership fee, and then you can register as many songs as you write.